We are happy to be joined by the general manager of Ruidoso Downs Racetrack, Mr. Rick Baugh. Good morning, boss.
Good morning, Tim.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Doing good. You know Dave.
I do. I've known Dave for a long time.
A long time.
And you know Representative Vincent.
Known him quite a few years myself.
Talk about how he's doing up there representing businesses like Ruidoso Downs. I want to make sure that we understand he's really becoming a star up there in Santa Fe. I mean, he won't say that himself. He's too humble, but
future governor.
But it seems like he's doing a nice job up there.
You know, Harlan and I had a very in-depth conversation when he started this, and I'm proud of him. I kind of feel like a little bit of a mentor. He does call me and whine sometimes about what's going on, but he's doing an excellent job. I mean, I'm so proud of him. And, you know, the other thing that I've seen over the last 2 years, and I haven't seen very many legislators do what Harlan's done. He stepped into the leadership role, and he's working not only from the House side, but to the Senate side. He's working with everyone.
And we're talking about him while he's in the room, but that's where when he came back last time, he said...
No, I mean, we've had these conversations
He goes
already.
across the aisle in a friendly way, because you got to have votes to get things passed.
Well, he said it, and we've talked about this. He doesn't care what party affiliation, and he's also said he's not working just for Lincoln County. He's working for New Mexico, and that's what you got to do when you go up there, and he's doing it.
All right, well, let me ask you about the racetrack, Rick. There seems to be a lot of dirt that has moved out. You said the other day it was a quarter million cubic yards of dirt has been moved out, and that's the plan. I get. Then the government has done that.
Well, that wasn't really the plan. About 100,000 yards of that was debris that washed into the racetrack, and now we're taking another 150,000 for the retention basin, which will protect Spaghetti Flats, the sewer treatment plant, and the Highway 70 bridge, and pastures downstream.
Now, are you calling that a retention basin, a lake, a pond? What is the appropriate?
No, it's actually just that, a retention basin. And the reason I say that, because Waterways of the U.S., Region 6, you can't retain water for more than 92 hours, so that water has to flow through.
And then go on down the river.
And go on down the river to the compact between New Mexico and Texas. The water has to be released, and then it's used by New Mexicans to irrigate their properties.
Now, we won't see water in that retention basin unless it floods.
Correct.
So a lot of folks are expecting maybe a little water feature, maybe a few trout.
No,
I mean, launch a boat.
Yeah, you would have to line it. It would take years before it actually hold water. And as many as Dave remembers that there were back in before 85, there were the twin ponds that were out there, that were the R and the D. And then once the track expanded, there was another lake kind of to the northwest corner that had to be lined, but it wasn't a wise use of water, so we stopped putting water in it.
You mentioned that this is what it looked like in 85. Why did they do that back then? What was the purpose of making sure that river? Because you've said of many, many years, and I know because I've been there a long time too, 25 years, that we have not done a good job cleaning the Rio Ruidoso so that flooding would occur. I mean, this is something that you had foreseen, that we would have this issue that eventually caused the cancellation of races last year.
Well, arriving in Ruidoso in 91 and seeing what the river looked like and maintaining the river, and when I say that, the track got to maintain the river from 91 until 96. And we really didn't have, issues per se. We were diligent in watching and making sure during the monsoon season that when water rose, we cleaned debris. And then in 96, they wouldn't let us get in the river anymore. We couldn't clean the river. So that's when the issue started, and they were maintaining the river. And then I left in 2007, but when I got back in 21, I started having a fit. That river had silted in over 8 feet. And the culverts that we had, there was no flow. They were stopped up.
So you're saying this could have been prevented.
Absolutely.
And we wouldn't have gone through what we did last summer. So that last summer is over. Now here we go forward. Tell us about, are we ready? Are the horses going to arrive? Give us the kind of the lay of the land right now.
Tim, I was skeptical until earlier this week. Went ahead Monday and built the schedule for the arrival date of the horses. And right now it looks like the third week in April is what we're gunning for right now.
And so the horses will arrive, and are they going to be full? Will you have a full backside?
Oh, we got more horses than we got stalls.
Yeah, because there's excitement in the quarter horse game, not necessarily as much for thoroughbreds, but for quarter horses, that it's just going to be a phenomenal meet because the purses are so high.
Well, everybody within the industry, the quarter horse business, and they're excited, and they've already put their money where their mouth is. Our 2026 Triple Crown nominations are the highest historically than they've ever been. So we're approximately 130 more horses than what we just had last year. So, yeah, they're excited about the product as we are.
Do the thoroughbred folks that own and run thoroughbreds, do they understand that it really was a choice of either running quarter horses or not having racing at all because of what was going to happen with that 6 furlong shoot?
Some do and some don't. Some, in my opinion, they don't want to, but some do. And we had to do that. I mean, the Triple Crown, that is what built the Ruidoso Downs racetrack. And it's not just about the racetrack. It's about this community. And I've been screaming that when we had to move. I told you that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Saying we got to go and we got to move to Albuquerque. That just killed my soul. So where we're at now, and still the mitigation that's happening upstream and everything that's going on because of the devastation to the entire area, it was vital for us to get our product back up and going and get this community back on its feet.
Because we can withstand, I'll just be honest, Dave, this track has got so much to do with the economic flow of this town. And if that track could say, well, we're not going to run, all of the businesses would be impacted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they already didn't have a spring break. Everybody's complaining about that. So what's the longest race you're going to run this year?
870s.
I love 870s. I used to have more fun. There was a horse when I was a kid called Hot Mustard. And if it was raining, my stepdad would always bet on Hot Mustard. Anyways, but I love an 870. So,
well, that's a race that goes around the turn. But the main reason why thoroughbreds aren't here is because of that. What we anticipate might happen to that 6 furlong shoot.
Well, we all know that the CFMs for the river have tripled, and the reason for is like in Upper Canyon, there is no river. It's all silted in. So with the burn scars and everything else, and I can let Harlan speak to this, we're just going to have more water coming in our tributaries than what we're accustomed to. And we're going to have to put HESCO baskets down around the west end of the main entrance and of the track itself because of the rise, and it's just imperative. We've got to.
This is all looking forward to what we think might be some flooding, right, Harlan? That's what we have to worry about for the summer.
We've been driving around and looking at a lot of the burn scar, and it's starting to take off, and there's some vegetation on parts of it, but there's still parts of it that's going to slough, and there's going to be a lot of water coming off of it. And anytime you go up against Mother Nature, the whole time that I was the fire chief, anytime you go up against Mother Nature, you can do anything, you can try anything you want, but she's going to win every time. And you just don't divert a whole lot of water. It has to go and do its thing. And I've watched the track because, Mescalero, I've talked to President Padilla quite a bit, and, her and Rick have become really good friends, really good partners. And out of all things bad, there's sometimes a big silver lining out of it. and that's one of them.
Like the relationship between the racetrack and the Mescalero tribe.
A lot of people didn't know how important the racetrack really was because it's never shut down.
Right.
And I got those phone calls. I got those emails. What are we going to do without the track? And I'm sitting there telling them, have you been to the track lately? Go by there. The lights are on. The equipment is started. They are working from daylight till dark, and I believe it's going to happen.
Well,
I really did.
Do you feel like in Santa Fe they got the message that we need some help after the fire? And do you feel like the legislators up in Santa Fe understand the importance of the racetrack to this community?
The majority, however, and I'm going to let Rick speak to it a little bit, but we did run a tax package for the Ruidoso Downs racetrack just to let them recoup a little bit of what they lost. And one of the chairmen in tax buried that bill and never let it see the light of day.
Yeah, Rick, that's important to know. And for everyone to understand that the racetrack has sustained substantial financial loss because of the flooding and the fires from last year.
Tim, Harlan just said exactly, and I'm so frustrated over this, so it's kind of hard for me to say it without getting mad. We had House Bill 447 and we had Senate Bill 393. So we knew the two bills at some point in time would cross each other, and that's when we would combine and move on. Senate Bill 393 just took off in Senate tax, and we were put into the tax package in our first hearing. And we were, just headed down the right path, and everybody was, pretty pumped up and knew that we were on the right path. So then once we go into the tax package, and we had President Padilla, everybody was right there and supporting this. And then all of a sudden, the chairman of the committee, Lente, he just buried us and just said, no, we're taking it out. And I don't know who got madder with me or the president of the tribe, President Padilla. And Harlan said it. I just love her. But we got buried, and that was just wrong. And I'm going to go ahead and say what was said. They're not in the habit of giving money to rich Texans. That man invested his money in this state.
Talking about Mr. Trotter.
Mr. Trotter. And for that to be said, that's ridiculous, So anyway, we're going to get over it. We're going to move on. The governor's told us she's going to help us. And with Harlan's help and other legislators up there, we're going to get there. But I'm still a little hot under the collar over that.
And almost to discriminate against somebody that's willing to invest in New Mexico.
Well, I always thought we're open for business.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just ridiculous. But, I've seen different things like that happen before.
That's the mentality of stupid people in Santa Fe. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Well, and it wasn't about the rich Texan. It was about our community.
Exactly.
It was about, I love getting my clothes done up here with, tell me the name of that.
Evergreen Cleaners?
Evergreen.
Yeah.
So Evergreen.
Karen and Ben Hazen.
Yes. And they do an outstanding job on my clothes. And you know how much of their business comes from that racetrack?
A tremendous amount, particularly because jockeys always want their pants pressed.
And I do too. I love the way I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. And that's what I do.
That's a small business that may not make it if the racetrack weren't here.
Now, I'm just using them as an example.
Right, perfect.
I can go all the way down Midtown, and I can start showing you how much that track, and that's what I told Chairman Lente is, this has nothing to do with the rich Texan. This is all about a community and a tribe.
You think it was personal with him, or what do you think his issue is?
Well, he thought, out of his mouth in a meeting, he said it was a sweetheart deal. Well, it's not a sweetheart deal, because I would like to think that if something happened in his district, in his community, and he does have a big gaming facility there, that we would help them as a state as well if something happened.
Sure. Because nobody could have foreseen what happened last year when those floodwaters came to the racetrack. So, Rick, help us out. When are we going to, you said the horses are coming. We're opening on Friday, the 23rd of May. We're going to have a concert, a comeback concert, Kentucky Derby Day. So tell us about that.
Pat Green. This will be Pat's third concert at the track.
Yes.
Pat just puts on such an excellent show, and I'm going to have to lean on you on the young group that just was announced for Group of the Year.
Flatland Calvary.
There you go.
Is the ACE American Country Music Group of the Year nominee. That'll be coming in for Texas Tech weekend on Saturday, June 28th. There's more star-studded, including Robert Earl Keen, July 4th week. There's more star-studded concerts, high-stakes horse racing. We're coming back with a flash. And I'm so glad that the guy from Flash Paving and Seal Coating is here.
Why don't you get a true country star like Beyonce to show up?
Yeah, really. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Now, you know what? I got to tell the truth here. I didn't have nothing to do with this. You guys, yourself, Mark, and Josh Gibson, y'all put this together. Y'all were doing all this while I was on the road running back and forth to Santa Fe. So it goes out to kudos to you guys and a team effort there at the track and pushing everything forward.
Okay, well, let's come back to, and I don't want to get pats on the back here. Let me just tell, and I truly believe this from the bottom of my heart. If you, sir, Rick Baugh, if you weren't in charge right now, we wouldn't be racing this summer.
Well, thank you.
And I mean that wholeheartedly. If you weren't in your position, trying as hard as you can and keeping Mr. Trotter informed and keeping him interested in investment and doing all that you can, we wouldn't be running a horse race this summer.
Well, that's why I come back in 21. I wasn't expecting this, but it's the team. Everybody rowing together and pulling together. And when I say that, I'm going to say it again. It's not just at that racetrack. The support that we've got from the community has just been phenomenal. Our legislators, the support we've got from them. And I got to throw out for Senator Nick Paul, freshman legislator. And Harlan will attest to this. He busted his tail for us and, did a really, really good job. The mayor, Lynn Crawford, he was just, outstanding up there. Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah,
Fisher, I went brain dead. Everybody has just jumped in, because it's about the community. It's not just about the racetrack. And, we're going to be all right. We're going to make it, but we got some other things going on. And, we're open for business, and we want everybody from West Texas to get back over here today.
Well, it's just going to be a great summer, and we're all excited about it. Anything you want to add, Harlan?
I'm cheerleading the racetrack along. I know that they're going to come back hard and heavy. I see the equipment up there. If you haven't seen it, drive by, just take a look at it, watch it progress. And I know that it's going to be ready to go when, when are they coming?
Open the barn area on the 14th, and then the horses will arrive on the 21st. I think that's right.
It's the Monday after Easter.
Yeah.
And what I want to say is all the businesses down in Midtown, all the restaurants, go ahead and make your orders now and get ready because they're coming.
Well, it matters. This is, other than a sawmill, tourism is our number one and only industry in this town, and we've got to make sure that we're ready to go.
What about housing? Since we lost so many houses, how's that going to impact you?
It's definitely going to be a challenge. We jumped out, and Mark Estrada has already secured a bunch of housing for our people, but it's going to be a challenge, and it has been, and that's something, workforce housing, and I sit on P&Z, that's something that we've got to keep pushing, and we've got to establish in this
Every
community.
time I drive to Capitan, I can envision a couple of really nice big apartment complexes out there on some of that level land right there that would keep our workforce, housed, and also give them quality housing with swimming pools, exercise facilities, safety with security and all that. I just see it every time I drive past there. Every town in the country has got millions of them now, and we can't get one. So
yeah, we've been working on that for a couple of years now, and the mayor has really been out front on that one as well. But I want to go ahead and say this. With everything that happened at that racetrack, we're not going to be perfect when we open up. The trucks have really, played a hard toll on our asphalt there. So I'm going to be leaning on some people around here. It's been tough on the property. And people are going to say, well, why didn't they do this or why didn't they do that? But I hope they understand we really didn't get the go-ahead until late January.
Right.
And that was the part that was driving me crazy.
And I still think the public doesn't understand that it's the government that's doing the work on that river, that it's not the racetrack. I still think the public sees that as a racetrack project, and it has the river has to be done by the Department of Transportation through FEMA.
Well, FEMA's been, at the very top, and we even had to go to D.C. and get some help. When I say that, I'm talking about getting FEMA to move along and get this done. And Congressman Ronnie Jackson and his staff have been helping us a lot. And it's been a ordeal.
You mean a Texan is helping New Mexico?
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Yeah, a Texan jumped up to help us.
Yeah. Appreciate the time, and it's going to be exciting. Any latest on the Kentucky Derby?
Not yet. There's a meeting coming up on Tuesday with the Racing Commission.
Are you optimistic?
I got an email yesterday late, and there's conversation going on this weekend. So we're optimistic. I'm always optimistic.
Yeah.
I will say some of this stuff made me a little bit of a pessimist, but I'm trying to get back. Me and Harlan are trying to get back to being, optimistic about everything. But we'll see.
Appreciate the time. Harlan, great job up in Santa Fe. You come anytime and keep us updated if you don't mind.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you very much. It's hard work, and gosh, you haven't been home since Christmas. It takes a lot to represent us, and you've done a fantastic job.